What's going on, YouTube? Roachsaurus here, back with another React video. Today we got Nexon caught lying in their court documents. Dark and darker news. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's go!
It's One Peg, and in this video we're going to talk again about what seems to be a very interesting thing regarding the complaint letter that Nexon submitted, and something that could potentially end up, I guess, working well for the Iron Mace defense. Now, of course, this has been submitted by Iron Mace's attorneys for dismissal, and we're probably going to see a rebuttal of some kind from Nexon. I'm still looking for that. I'm sure that they have some time to be able to submit that rebuttal. They already said that they were going to contest it, so I still think it's going to get dismissed, but just in case, I already forwarded all of this information that I'm going to share with you guys off to their attorneys because I think that it is relatively pertinent. I don't know if it's actually going to be anything of substance. It could just end up being like an oopsie. I don't know how courts would handle this kind of thing, but it does seem to be incredibly interesting. And what I'm talking about is this. On page 37 of their original complaint letter, and again, this is not something, I'm not an attorney, this is not something that I know a whole hell of a lot about, and this actually isn't even my research. This was sent to me in a DM from a group of people that I guess are wishing to remain anonymous, and I don't want to like blow their spot up or anything. But I did, just for the sake of record, I did forward this off to their attorney. So me sharing this to you, I don't think is really going to do much of anything because it's already been submitted and it's already kind of like in evidence, if you want to put it that way. In the case of Nexon's complaint, on page 37, we have this image of the two zombies side by side, where Project P3, Nexon is saying that in Project P3, this zombie image is representative of artwork, gait, the way that their eyes light up, the way that they described it was, for example, Dark and Darker both feature the same fleshy, bald zombie with eyes that light up. And then they showed this image as an example of Project P3.
Yeah, I remember this.
This is an example of Project P3, and this is an example of the zombie in Dark and Darker. That's how they have presented it. Now, throughout the remainder of these images, they show a bunch of different artwork outlining all of these similarities between Dark and Darker and Project P3, and that they are so substantially similar they could not possibly have just been out of the minds of the creators of Dark and Darker as a game. However, there was one interesting piece. If we end up zooming in a bit, we notice down here at the bottom, there are a series of user interface icons. And they look eerily similar to another set of user interface icons that we're used to seeing. Kind of maybe like these. So what I did is I went through and I looked at all of the images that were used as promotional materials on the internet, and I also looked at all of the images that were presented in the complaint letter that was filed by Nexon. And as I go down through these, as slowly as I'm scrolling here, even though like you know, we're moving kind of quick, you'll notice that on the left here, and in all of the P3 project screen caps that they show, there's always this user interface that shows
it's over on the left,
weapons and your
not the middle,
and hotkeys and whatnot. And then there's this HP bar in the center. It says whether or not you're a survivor. Oh, and by the way, according to SDF, and this is something that he said in his disclosure that he gave to the court, was that this game, Project P3, was always a BR game. There was the closing circle and all that other stuff, but at no point were there portals. Dark and Darker is a game that is, at its core, an extraction game. The portals take you out, take you deeper, whatever. And in this case, Project P3, as far as we have been told, at least in SDF's disclosure that he gave to the court for this dismissal report, there were never any portals in Project P3. There was never an extraction mechanic. So fundamentally, that kind of modifies the way that the game is played, but I digress. There's your I digress for the video. So I went through and I looked at all of the comparative screen caps, and we can see in all of these, there are images of the UI in the bottom left. The UI, again, in the bottom left. In an HP bar in the center, or whatever this is supposed to be. I think it's an HP bar. UI in the bottom left. Again, UI in the bottom left. And I feel like I'm being overly repetitive here. But in this screen cap, we see the images of the buffs in the center. And in fact, we have a really early rendition of what the UI looked like according to SDF and the originating like pre-alpha build of Dark and Darker. This is what the original UI for the player looked like. And it doesn't look anything like what was being submitted for Project P3 in any of the complaint stuff. And again, this is centered on the screen. But again, if we look back at this is being, you know, screen center, we have these buffs. And what I want to do is just take a quick look at what these look like versus that zombie icon. Because if we scroll down and zoom in on what these icons look like, and then maybe we can pull this out, do one of these. If we take a look at these icons, now they're just about the same size, but not quite. It looks startlingly similar, doesn't it? If you take a look at these. Now notice that this top of this icon here and the top of this icon here look eerily similar as well. Not to mention, if we kind of shrink this down and crop it even further, you can see that, here, and I'll scroll this down just a little bit, put this near the top. You can see that right here, we have notches, age marks, you know, patina, however you want to remark it, something that makes it look like it's a little bit more weathered. We have these weather marks that seem like they almost line up, almost exactly the same. And in fact, one of these buff icons, it is believed that one of these buff icons actually coincides with the skeleton buff. Although I can't necessarily see it, I think that the belief is that this icon here and this icon here are the same buff. But just being in that this is on the center of the screen and this was centered on the screen of the submission leads me to believe that they done screwed up. The way that this looks to me is that Nexon ended up making a bit of a misrepresentation to where these icons, the way that they are displayed and the way that they're laid out, was a screen cap of Dark and Darker and not a screen cap of Project P3. Either getting them backward or just outright taking a screenshot from Dark and Darker and submitting it as their
Oh, either they messed up in the filing and like of this document with the screen capture, or they're lying about this and it's actually Dark and Darker Zombie.
their own work. Now, I don't know how a court handles something like this, but to me, this looks like just bad evidence. And I don't know what you guys think, but to me, this looks like a copy. And I think they ended up putting either these slides on the wrong side, or they ended up just outright lying. Or the only other obvious possibility is that this actually is Project P3 and Dark and Darker just outright copied the UI, you know, chapter and verse. But none of the other marketing screenshots,
No, they don't look anything like
any
that.
other place, and none of the stuff that they submitted in their own complaint ended up matching at all. None of it. So yeah, just something incredibly interesting that I thought I could share with y'all. Anyway,
It's pretty
guys, that's what I
crazy.
have for this one. Thanks so much for coming and checking it out. Hope you guys have enjoyed the videos. I very much like making them for you. If you would be kind enough as to sub the channel here, I would be very appreciative. Thank you so much for coming and checking it out. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.
Wow, either somebody really messed up at Nexon and filing this, or they're just flat out lying like he said. This is this may be some pretty big potential news here for the case. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. It could be a big nothing burger though, but I'll keep you guys up to date and we'll keep on reacting to this. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button, hit the sub if you're new to the channel, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, if you liked the video, make sure you head over to the page, hit that like button, scroll over, smash that subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notified for future video drops, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.